It's now in order to consider amendment number 15, printed in Part B of House Report 115-712. For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 15, printed in Part B of House Report number 115-712, offered by Mr. Meadows of North Carolina.
Pursuant to House Resolution 923, the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Meadows, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, initiating an independent counsel investigation comes with many political and constitutional challenges. These individuals were vested with the full power and independent authority to exercise all investigative and prosecutorial functions and powers of the Department of Justice within respect to matters within their jurisdiction. When the independent counsel statute was reauthorized in 1994, an amendment was made to the law requiring the Government Accountability Office to conduct periodic audits of independent counsel expenditures. This amendment gave Congress the ability to audit any and all counsel expenses and investigate how those taxpayer dollars were spent. This is an important procedure that was repealed in 2010, and it's time that Congress acts to restore this key oversight provision. My amendment reestablishes the semi-annually Government Accountability Office financial review of obligated expenditures from the independent counsel and requires the report's findings be submitted to Congress. While the work of the independent counsel is indeed important, it's just as important that we properly take into account the hardworking American taxpayers' dollars and where they go. So to ensure this accountability, I want to urge the passage of this amendment. I want to take one personal privilege of thanking the fine work of Chad Yelinsky, and with that I reserve the balance of my time.
I'd like to claim time in opposition, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand that Mr. Meadows offers this amendment to try to attack the special counsel Mueller and his team, to imply that there's some sort of impropriety going on here with the Russian investigation. Of course, these improprieties aren't with the special counsel, Mr. Chair. The problems are with Russia and the people in our country, our political system, and our current administration, who repeatedly communicated and met with Russian operatives during the presidential campaign. But trying to muddy the waters by going after the integrity of the investigators is a classic tactic used by the people who feel threatened by an investigation because they know they've been caught. The bottom line is, the way this amendment is drafted, it doesn't do anything. It says no funds in the bill can be used to, quote unquote, force a repeal of the provision of law that happened a decade ago. Not enforcing a repeal is not the same as reinstating the provision that was repealed. This amendment was drafted in this tortured fashion to avoid violating the rules of the House that prohibit legislating on an appropriations measure. And in any case, there is currently no independent counsel. Robert Mueller is a special counsel, and neither he nor GAO would be affected if this amendment became law. And let me just suggest, Mr. Chair, that if people in this town are interested in ending this situation that we have going on, I would suggest that maybe the President of the United States calls up Mr. Mueller, goes and clears the air, tells the truth, says what he has to say, and let's move on as a country. And for those reasons, I oppose the amendment and yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Ohio yields back the balance of his time. Gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find it very interesting that the gentleman opposite would claim to know my motives and that he has not talked to me about it, Mr. Chairman. I also find it very ironic that the gentleman makes the argument that my amendment does absolutely nothing and yet opposes it. So indeed, if it does nothing, then I can't find any reason why he wouldn't support it. And so in that, I would certainly urge the adoption of my amendment, and being the late hour that it is, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from North Carolina. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
Mr. Chair, ask for a recorded vote, please. Ask for the ayes and nays.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from North Carolina will be postponed.